Getting in some updates on what is happening on the global front and how was the US market actually in terms of the close that we saw. So mixed close that came in from the US market. S&P 500 was subdued and closed on the negative side, while we saw the Nasdaq, I beg your pardon, Dow Jones was negative. S&P 500 as well as the Nasdaq managed to close on the positive side. Even as of now, when you're looking at it in terms of the S&P futures, that is also trading a bit subdued and flattish in trade. Now, obviously, what everyone is watching out for is the labor data in the US market. So the jobs data is something that everyone is watching out for. Looking at it in terms of the stocks that have managed to perform in the US market mainly came in from the technology, consumer goods as well as basic material side. So technology, because technology did well, we saw the tech heavy Nasdaq, which managed to close with gains of a good 0.8% in trade. While in terms of overall, we saw healthcare, telecom as well as consumer services, which managed to close on the lower end for the US markets. So yes, good performance coming in from the IT companies, the tech companies, and that is why the Nasdaq managed to hold on to gains. Dow Jones Industrial, when you look at it in terms of what was happening on that front, Dow Jones closed down almost 0.06% in trade. So we will be keeping an eye out on more updates coming in on individual stocks in the Dow Jones. Salesforce, on the other hand, in the Dow Jones was only one of the few stocks which managed to see gains of almost 2% in trade that we could highlight over there. While we had other stocks which actually fell in trade, Merck and Company, which was falling. We had Amazon, which didn't do quite well. So yes, there was pressure coming in on these names as well. So yes, that's how we're seeing the US market close. But let's look at the European market. Yes, that closes before in terms of the US markets, closes earlier than that. But European markets closed higher in trade. That was an interesting one where we saw DAX as well as FTSE managing to close on with gains of more than 0.5%. CAC managed to close quite flattish, so it will be interesting to watch out for that. Let's not forget that UK polls were yesterday as well. We are keeping an eye out on those UK general elections. That's really drawing a lot of focus over there. Talking about the stock 600, that actually closed provisionally higher by around 0.6% in trade. Mainly banks was something that was leading the gains over there. So interesting update that's coming from the global markets. US, a mixed close that came in. European indexes managed to close with a positive bias right now. So we'll watch out for how the Indian markets actually opened. Yesterday we opened up on a positive side, strong footing, those record high levels. Will that be the case today? That's something we'll keep an eye out on.
Well, absolutely. That's something that we're definitely watching out for. But let's also take a quick look at oil prices then. And oil prices fell in early trade on Thursday after US employment as well as business activity data came in weaker than expected, in signs that the economy may be cooling in the world's top oil consuming nation as well. Let's take a look at price action then. When you're taking a look at Brent futures, then you're looking at a downtick coming in of about 0.3% thereabout. And it was around those $87 a barrel levels. When you take a look at US WTI as well, there's a downtick of about 0.4% there as well. And that, of course, is keeping in mind the activity-thinned trading that we had by the US 4th of July holiday as well. Now, separately, the ADP employment report also showed private payrolls that increased by 150,000 jobs in June, below consensus predicting an increase of 160,000. And after rising by 157,000 in May, now in a further sign of a loss of momentum in the economy, the ISM non-manufacturing index also, which is a measure of US services sector activity, also fell to a 4-year low of 48.8 when compared with what was being penciled in, which was 52.5. Now, you do have weaker economic data that may be adding to the Federal Reserve's arguments to start cutting rates, and that is something that would be on the radar for oil markets as well. Let's also take a quick look at what gold had to do, because gold prices did drift higher as well, and that was after the softer than expected US.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.